Noah builded an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowls, and offered burnt offerings on that altar. And the Lord smelled a sweet savour, and the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground anymore for man's sake, for the imaginations of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite anymore everything living as I have done, while the earth remaineth. Seed time and harvest shall not, cold and heat and summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. A man offered sacrifice after the destruction of the first war. He came out of the ark, and then by the wisdom of the Spirit, as a man that had done business with the Spirit, he understood the ways into the heart of a spirit. He knows that the ways you enter into the heart of a spirit is by sacrifice. He knows the way you command the attention of a spirit is by sacrifice. And then he looked around. He needed the intervention and the backing of a spirit. And then what he began to do was to raise an altar. And upon that altar, he offered sacrifice unto God. And that sacrifice ascended into heaven as a sweet smelling savour. And when God perceived that, the Bible said, on the strength of this, Elohim began to speak within himself. Elohim became restless. He said, God said in his heart, I will no longer. Covenant began to come out. Covenant began to establish. He never asked God for that. He never asked God for that. All he did was an offering, a sacrifice unto God. Beloved, when you begin to offer sacrifices unto God, what will begin to happen is that there are things you will not have the time to ask, but God will be provoked into action. That even the things you don't ask, they begin to come into manifestation. Haven't you read? Solomon offered a sacrifice, and when God came, he said, what do you want? Solomon was asking for something. God looked at him and said, I have answered that, but there is something I will do. Even that which you never ask, I will do. Something bigger than you ask, I will do. That is what sacrifice can do. That is what sacrifice can do. Sacrifice provokes God to begin to speak to Noah. God began to speak from his heart. He didn't know. Everything began, and God will begin to set a sign on the sky that every time these signs appear, covenant is remembered, because a man that understood the way of the Spirit raised an altar and offered sacrifice unto God. It is men without understanding that thinks that when you give things to God, you are throwing it away. It's a lie. It's the man that had no understanding of a spirit world, that think that when you give things to spirit, men that even those that serve the diabolic, that are in the diabolic world, the agents of the devil, the way they provoke bigger realities, stronger realities in their life is by sacrifice. The reason why some of them are very bold is because they know the depth of the sacrifices they have offered to that deity. So God began to utter words. God began to speak. God began to enter into covenants. God began to make covenants. Say, seed time and harvest shall not cease. Genesis chapter 22, verse 1 to 3 and verse 9. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham, and said unto Abraham, and he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thy only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and saddled us, and took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and clave the wood for the burnt offering, and rose up and went unto the place of which God had told him. Verse 9. And there came to the place, and they came to the place which God had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood. And Abraham stretched forth his hand and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of the Lord called unto him out of heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. And he said, Lay not thy hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest God, seeing that thou hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, from me. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and saw the animals and all that. Now, jump to verse 16. God now speaking. He said, and said, By myself have I sworn, saith the Lord. For because thou hast done this thing, and hast not withheld thy son, thy only son, by myself have I sworn, that in blessing I will bless thee, and in multiplying I will multiply thy seed as the stars of the heaven, and as the sand which is upon the seashore, and thy seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because thou hast obeyed my voice. A man obeyed God and presented a sacrifice to God, and by that God began to declare blessings that till this world end, anyone identified as the seed of Abraham is a covenant carrier.